Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon. We're so glad you could join us today. I'm Aja Goare. Our top story today, the current Great Falls City Administrator will not be packing his bags to take the job in Billings. After failed attempts to negotiate a contract, Greg Doyon declined the Billings City Administrator position this morning. The subcommittee met once again today to discuss the difference in asking price for Doyon's salary. The committee held firm at $155,000, while Doyon wanted $165,000. 15 minutes into the meeting, the committee received a message from Doyon. In a letter, he said he respectfully declines the offer. Doyon added, quote, "When deciding whether to take a new city management position, it is about more than just the compensation package. For the candidate, it is also about observing how the elected officials who he or she will work for recruits and retains its leadership. While the council made a unanimous decision to offer me the job, I have not seen that support translate into an employment agreement appropriate for the position." The council could re-advertise the position. The initial search cost the city $25,000. Authorities in Michigan are working with Montana law enforcement to determine if the box of bones found in a Missoula shed belonged to 3 missing boys. MTN's Jill Valley reports.
The lead investigator for the Michigan State Police confirms he's reached out to Missoula police about a case involving 3 missing brothers from the small town of Morenci, Michigan. The boys' ages match the general ages of the skeletal remains found in Missoula. These boys vanished in November of 2010. Their father claims he gave his sons away to an Amish family, but the children haven't been seen since. He's serving time in prison for unlawful imprisonment. Missoula Police Department spokesman Sergeant Travis Welsh says as this case gets more attention, it is likely other law enforcement agencies with cold cases involving children will be contacting investigators here. The bone fragments themselves are on their way for DNA testing that could determine if the children were even siblings. The results, though, could take some time, and at this point there's no confirmed links to the Michigan case. Welsh says he's received calls from media outlets from across the country, including People magazine. It was a cleaning crew working on property in the 2100 block of South 12th Street West that discovered a box with bones and rocks. It turned it over to Missoula police, and then UM's anthropology department studied the remains and determined they were bones from children. The bones are not considered ancient, instead modern. It is unclear if the children died of natural causes 100 years ago or if they are indeed the victim of violent crime. Detectives have told us the shed where the bones were discovered was not a crime scene itself. In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Thank you, Jill. And Missoula police say they will be conducting interviews with people of interest in the next few days. We now know the names of the Great Falls police who shot and killed a man earlier this week. The officers are identified as Sergeant Robert Beal, Senior Officer Christy Walker, Officer Kevin Kelsey, and Probationary Officer Zane O'Meara. All are on administrative leave. Those officers all fired shots at 51-year-old Stacy Micheletti, who died Monday. According to police call logs, dispatch received a report of a man hiding in bushes with a pistol. Police responded to the area near 52nd Street and 10th Avenue North. Not long after, police encountered Micheletti, leading to shots fired. Now, it's unclear what led to the shooting. The Montana Division of Criminal Investigation is looking into the matter. A judge now rules that the petition to recall the Pend Oreille County Sheriff is invalid. The judge ruled Thursday in favor of an injunction to halt the recall election of Sheriff Carl Suda. The petition claims Suda is incompetent, but the injunction argues the petition does not contain specific instances of incompetence. Stacy Walker, who filed the recall petition, tells MTN News she does not plan to file another petition. Suda did not comment on the ruling. He will be back in court, though, next week to change his plea on a misdemeanor assault charge. Yellowstone County District Judge Ingrid Gustafson will soon be the newest member of the Montana Supreme Court. Governor Steve Bullock selected Gustafson over 2 other finalists to fill the seat of retiring Justice Mike Wheat. When Gustafson takes her seat in January, she'll become the 3rd woman on Montana's 7-member High Court, joining Justices Beth Baker and Lori McKinnon. Gustafson has been a state district judge since 2004. Gustafson will have to run in the 2018 election for the remaining 4 years of Justice Wheat's term. We turn now to the weather scene with Bob McGuire, and we're looking a little cold around the state today.
Yeah, I thought I'd fill in a little bit for Ed today. It's such a nice weather day here in the Billings area that I thought, well, maybe he'll take the day off, but no, he actually had something else to do. But anyway, we have a new cold front that's starting to make its way into the region today. Let me show it to you. It is here in Glacier National Park. Look at this thing. Yeah, that's coming your way, coming to a theater near you. Check newspaper for showtimes. Meanwhile, here's what we have. A cold front today with snow and wind moving in, a lot of rain possibly in Billings, and then fairly quiet until midweek. And then more snow moves in from the west. And then also after that, as we head past Christmas, look for colder and wetter weather to follow. It's going to be kind of a chilly week ahead, and also after that for the rest of the year. We'll have more on the forecast in a few more minutes.
Thanks, Bob. We'll stay tuned. The United Nations Security Council met today to discuss North Korea and its recent missile test. But CBS's Laura Podesta has the story.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson addressed the UN Security Council on what he calls the greatest threat to U.S. national security, North Korea.
Our message today is one that this body has heard before and one that we will continue to repeat. The United States will not allow the regime in Pyongyang to hold the world hostage.
Last month, Pyongyang launched a ballistic missile into waters near Japan, but experts say it had the capacity to reach anywhere in the U.S. It was one of at least 20 ballistic missile launches North Korea conducted over the past year.
We believe that more can and must be done beyond enforcing the minimum requirements of the Security Council resolutions.
Tillerson explicitly called on both Russia and China to put pressure on North Korea. He says that Russia is helping to pay for North Korea's nuclear program, and China is providing the country with oil. Earlier this week, Tillerson said the U.S. would be willing to start diplomatic talks with North Korea without preconditions. But the White House dismissed the offer, saying talks can only take place after North Korea stops provoking its neighbors and takes sincere and meaningful steps toward denuclearization. Friday, Tillerson contradicted himself.
As I said earlier this week, a sustained cessation of North Korea's threatening behavior must occur before talks can begin.
Tillerson says the U.S. will use all measures necessary to defend itself against North Korea, but that diplomacy is still his first choice. Laura Podesta, CBS News, the United Nations.
A U.S. Navy chief told a South Korean news agency the U.S. is prepared with a military option against North Korea if necessary. Yellowstone National Park area businesses praising Republican Representative Greg Gianforte for advancing the Yellowstone Gateway Protection Act. The House bill is a companion to the Senate version introduced last April by Democratic Senator John Tester. The legislation would protect 30,000 acres of public lands from mining operations and withdraw mineral rights for the area north of the park. Both the House and Senate versions of the bill have zero impact on private land or any valid existing rights of claim holders on public lands. Gianforte worked closely with the Yellowstone Gateway Business Coalition to craft the legislation, which commended his bipartisan work with Tester. A new advisory group is forming in Colstrip to address the economic impact of the pending closure of power plants 1 and 2. Governor Steve Bullock and Attorney General Tim Fox jointly announced the members of the stakeholder group on Thursday. Their offices will co-chair the Community Impact Advisory Group, which also includes local officials and community leaders, as well as labor and economic development organizations. The group is responsible for coming up with a community impact plan to use $10 million in impact funds from Puget Sound Energy. The $10 million Colstrip Community Impact Fund was the result of negotiations led by Attorney General Fox. Still ahead on the noon news, we turn our eye to the sky for a new planet. More on NASA's big announcement next. First, Bob has our weather forecast. Stay with us.